Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Let's Survive review. I am your host, Paddy Murphy, and I'm here today to talk to you about the PS4 title Monstrum, which released on the 20th of May of this year. Now, Monstrum was available on the PC from 2015, but this is its first time on consoles. It's on PS4, Xbox One, and I believe it's got a physical Nintendo Switch release incoming. Monstrum is a strange little beast of a game. It is a procedurally generated first-person horror game, which sees you as a unidentified person on a ship. You don't really get any explanation as to what's going on, but you can discern what's happening by picking up notes and audio logs throughout the course of your game. What you do come to know very quickly is that there is a monster on this ship and it is chasing you. And with the way that this game works and the fact that it's procedurally generated, sometimes you don't know specifically what monster right out the gate. There are 3 different monsters in the game. There's the Fiend, the Hunter, or Huntress, I'm not sure, and the Brute. Each of these monsters has its own unique skill, style of play, special abilities, things like that. So like if you're facing off against the Brute, he's going to be able to bash down doors very quickly. If you're facing off against the Fiend, they can slow you down with their mind and do all kinds of weird stuff to you. And then the Hunter has the ability to create kind of pods and hide in them, and then when you run past, pop out and kill you. So you really have to vary up your tactics on each playthrough of this game. And that's what you'll be doing. The thing about Monstrum is there is not a whole heap for me to talk about here in regards to a review, because it is fundamentally very simple. You are on a boat, there is a monster, and you have to collect a certain amount of items to escape via a couple of different escape routes. Now, where it does get more complicated is the monsters can destroy your escape routes. So if you decide you're going to escape via helicopter, and then you start putting the pieces in place, and then the monster appears and wrecks all your hard work, well then you're going to have to keep looking around the ship and find stuff to escape via the submarine or the life raft. It's a really cool system, and it does encourage a lot of replayability. It's also bastard hard. I mean that. Like, I've been playing this game for 20 hours since I got it, and I have not succeeded once. Now, that speaks as much to me being crap at this game as it does the game itself. But I will say that I am learning, and each playthrough I get a little smarter. I figure out, oh, well, if I do this, if I use a fire extinguisher on the Brute, it'll slow it down, stall it for a couple of seconds to give me a chance to get away. I've trapped monsters inside doors by putting a fuse in to open the door, and then when the monster follows me in, run back out and take out the fuse and shut the door, and the monster's trapped for a couple of minutes. Gives me a bit of time to run around and look for items. What catches me out every time, and if you're somebody like me who is not great with navigation or landscaping things in your head, kind of, okay, or not landscaping, landmarking things in your landscaping things in your head. If you're not good at landmarking things in your head, this game's going to be tricky, because you're running down around a ship that is very much corridors. They're very similar, like they look similar a lot of the time. But it's a maze, it's a labyrinth, and it's intended to be. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be half as scary and it wouldn't be half as challenging, and you don't want a game like this to not be scary or challenging. But yeah, what I find happening to myself a lot is that I end up kind of going over the same places again and again, and when I should be exploring new areas and trying to find items that way. So this is something I'm trying to get better at. I've started to create kind of little maps in my head of, okay, this is what Deck 3's layout is like, okay, this is what Deck 4 layout is like. And it is procedurally generated, but a lot of the, as in the layout of the ship doesn't change, but where everything is changes, where, what monster you're playing against changes. So there is some skill there. It's not completely random, and because if it was, it would be almost impossible, right? So the thing about Monstrum is, if you're somebody who is looking for a long single player experience that's gonna, tell you a really deep, in-depth, detailed story, Monstrum is not going to be the game for you, just because that's not what it set out to be. It is very much a game that could be completed by somebody with skill in 20 minutes to half an hour. But at the same time, to get to that skill level, it's probably going to take you 30 or 40 hours, because you really do have to go back in, try again, learn, fail. So if you enjoy those kind of games, I mean, what I would equate it to, and it's kind of not fair to, because this game is much more polished, It would be stuff like Slender the 8 Pages or Pacify, which I played here on the channel, although that was pretty polished as well. Emily Wants to Play, things like that, where you have these items to get and then you have to escape. But the thing that separates Monstrum is that it does feel bigger than those games. Like, it does feel more more polished, more refined, which is not bad for a 5-year-old game. Sure, like, the textures are not great at times, and you can tell that this was made 5 years ago, to be fair. But the polish comes in the gameplay, and the gameplay itself is so enjoyable. I'm not usually one for games where that kind of punish you, is the way I put it, and where you have to learn through punishment. You die, and then you learn, and then you come back. It's why I could never really get into the Dark Souls series, because I'm not a fan of that kind of grueling punishment, you know, to get better. But the thing about Monstrum is it never feels like punishment. Like, when you fail, it is very clearly because you did something you shouldn't do, 9 times out of 10. So because of that, I've actually really been enjoying my time with Monstrum, and every time I have 15 to 20 minutes to spare that I'm just like, oh, what'll I do? I've got a little bit of time before I have to get back to editing videos or whatever, I'll pop into the sitting room, throw on Monstrum on the PS4, and I'll just, like, even if I don't get through a game, I'll be like, okay, I learned a little bit more this time about, you know, the layout of the ship and where certain, or I might pick up a new note or a new audio log, and then that gives me a little bit more of the story. So it's definitely a game that you can play these kind of bursts. Like, you don't have to sit there and play through it in one sitting if you don't want to. You can kind of take your time with it and pop back in and out and get better and more skilled that way. It's also at a very good budget price. It's releasing on the PlayStation 4 on the PlayStation Store for like $25, which for this game, as I say, if you're the type of person who enjoys those type of experiences, you are going to get God knows how many hours out of this, because there are, as I say, there's 3 escape routes, so you're going to want to try and do all 3 escape routes. There's 3 monsters, so you're going to want to try and do all 3 escape routes against all 3 monsters. There's all the audio logs, there's all the notes. There's a lot to be done, and there's some really funny, quirky achievements / trophies as well to be got. So I have found myself actually doing a little bit of trophy hunting in this one, where I've kind of been enjoying going off and looking at some of the trophies and figuring out how I could do them. It's actually why I ended up trapping one of the monsters inside in one of the rooms. Like, to be honest, it's very hard for me to review a game like this on the simple basis that fundamentally there's absolutely nothing wrong with this game. And as a former game designer myself, from a game design perspective, it's as solid as you can get, because the procedurally generated levels really does make it feel like it's based on skill, not luck. And you, like, your skill as a player will grow every single time you play it, and that's the experience game designers want to bring to players, is to make you feel like not only is your character getting stronger or better, you are. And Monstrum does that really, really well. I guess if I was to critique it, I would say that yes, it is a bit dated. It's a couple of years old, so like it doesn't look as nice as contemporary games, you know, of a similar style. But it's a huge ship. It's a massive environment. It's procedurally generated, which, from being a game developer, I can tell you is not an easy thing to do. Like, you can make things random very easily, but making them random and fun is a very difficult task. It's time for the review score. Because, as I say, there isn't a whole heap to say. If you want to kind of experience more about the game, you can check out, I have a video up here on the page where I play it and fail miserably, and hopefully someday soon I'll have a video up where I succeed. That would be absolutely wonderful. But I'm going to continue playing it after this review anyway, because I am enjoying the absolute hell out of it. So the review score, I'm going to give Monstrum an 8 out of 10 on PlayStation 4. Now, I haven't played it on Xbox or PC, so I cannot recommend it. I cannot tell you what it plays like on those platforms. I can only go off the PlayStation 4 version. I imagine it's very similar. But the reason I'm giving it the score that I am is because it is a lot of fun. It is so dynamic and, as I say, from a game design perspective, so well realized. And yeah, I love aquatic horror. Anything with ships and monsters, I am a big fan of. So it kind of hit a lot of my sweet spots. Even though I didn't think it was going to. Like, as I say, these types of games are not ones that I typically gravitate towards. So I was quite shocked when I ended up loving it as much as I did. So that's it, guys. Monstrum, 8 out of 10 on the PlayStation 4. Available on Xbox, PS4, Xbox One, PS4, PC, and Nintendo Switch, I believe soon. It may be available digitally on the Switch now. Just double check. I'll post a link in the comments down below anyhow, so you'll know. Huge kudos to Team Junkfish. I will tell you as well that Team Junkfish sent me a copy of this game for review. Now, it does not influence my opinion at all. I will tell you that every damn time. I was a reviewer from 2012 to 2015, 2016, and I never once allowed getting a review copy to taint or influence my score. Monstrum is just a very well realised and very accomplished little horror chiller. And due to the success of Monstrum on PC, Monstrum 2 is, as far as I'm aware, finishing up development and will be available soon. And that's a 4v1 asynchronous horror multiplayer game, probably similar to things like Dead by Daylight or Resident Evil Resistance. So I definitely am interested in that because it sounds like it's going to be a different kind of experience again when you're playing against a human-controlled monster as opposed to an AI one. But you've also got the assistance of other survivors. So yeah, I am intrigued and I cannot wait to see what Team Junkfish do with that game. This has been my review for Monstrum. Thank you so much for checking it out. Let me know if you've played the game on PC or any other platforms, or if you're going to pick it up. I'd love to, or if you do pick it up. If you have picked it up and you played it, let me know in the comments what you thought of it. There ain't much else to say other than please subscribe if you like this content. If you like the videos I'm putting out here, it does me such a huge solid if you just hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, if you have, thank you so much. And also, if you don't feel like it, that's fine too. You are welcome here. Everyone's welcome here. As I say in every video, guys, let's survive together, and I mean it. And I did not survive very much in Monstrum, as you can see from videos on the channel, but we will survive together. We will. And peace out.